Board public work session. First item on the agenda this evening is our partners from Schmidt and Associates. This evening we have Kyle Miller and Tom Ning joining us to present the condition assessment for the public's perspective. Way back when the referendum talks started to happen, we thought it would be good to have a strategic overview of big expenses and things that we would need to plan for in the future. So this is the readout from that. And so I would say, Kyle and Tom, the floor is yours, and thank you for this work.
Okay, well, thank you. We appreciate serving Tiffin Schools.
Yeah. We're going to get your mic turned on there,
Okay.
just so
Gotcha.
those online can hear.
Perfect. All right. Sound okay?
Good.
Okay. Well, what you have, handouts here in front of you are, really it's just a presentation. In the end, there'll be a manual, a book that has all of this captured. Put it on the shelf and collects dust or whatever, but it'll also be digital that you can update. It'll be live. So it really, that's the value of it. But at least the book will capture what we've done this time around, and it'll have all of our work product in it. But tonight, just wanted to go through the facility assessment. I'm Kyle Miller. I'm a principal at Schmidt Associates principal. I've been the principal on this project. And Jen Carroll is our project manager. You probably met Jen. She's on vacation. And Tom's here. Tom is our project architect who did all the different projects here and also served on the assessment committee. We had several people. We had mechanical engineers, plumbing engineer, electrical engineer. I'm also a civil engineer, so I looked at everything outside the building. We had, who am I missing? Interiors, architecture. So we had a whole team of folks up here looking at their specialty area. So I'll just go through and kind of talk about what we've done. This really just indicates how we go about doing the conditional assessment. It looks at 4 different categories: site conditions, and that is really everything outside the building, you know, the pavement, the concrete, and that's what we always score. The pavement and concrete are always the items that score the worst. Everywhere we go, it's just the way it is. It gets beat up. And then also looked at all your athletic fields, looked at, you know, your playgrounds, which I think has a low score in it now, and we need to update it because you're finishing that up. So that's a good thing. And then also on the building envelope, that's looking at everything on the structural part of the building, the roof, the doors, the exterior doors, the windows. What am I missing? Maybe the wall. Tom takes a look at those items. And then the interior finishes, really it's flooring, it's furniture, it's wall finishes, ceilings, anything you can see inside. Even ADA, if we see an ADA issue that we think needs to be flagged, we'll point that out. So everything inside. And then environmental conditions is the HVAC, electrical, plumbing, and technology. So that's how we categorize it. And when you build a new building, this is kind of how we go about breaking it down by percentages. The environmental conditions is usually about 35%. The interior finish is about 35%. The structure's probably about 20%, and then sites 10%. Those are rough numbers, and then that helps us kind of put it into a system when we start scoring this. Tells us you know, an overall suitability score, and I'll talk about that here next. So suitability scoring is if we give everything a score of 0 to 4. 4 being brand new. Your tennis court's got a lot of 4s. 0s, things that are not existent and should be, or things that scored very low in bad condition. So there's a few of those, but most of the time we end up in the middle, between 1 and 3. So that's how we do this. We score all these different items, and I'll show you that spreadsheet here in just a minute, how we go about it. And it rolls everything up into a suitability score. So a brand new building would be 100%. A building that's not very good at all or horrible would be closer to that 25, 30, 40% down in that range. So that kind of gives you an idea, and that allows us to score each building and each discipline so we can see how they compare to each other and see where the issues are. And we have the team score 0.5, 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5, just to give it a little more granularity. And then we ask the team, if they're putting something down as a 1.5 or less, be prepared to put a cost to that, because those are items that are probably going to need to go on a project list within the next few years. Anything that's a 2, we kind of look at those items too, and it's a judgment call a little bit. 2.5 to 4 says that item's pretty good. It's not perfect maybe, but it's pretty good. Let's focus on the lower scoring items. So that's how we go about it. So we broke it down by several different areas. Obviously the 3 big ones, and they're going to have the biggest items associated with them and the biggest cost, are your buildings. And we know it's one big building, but it really is. We broke it down by high school, middle school, and elementary school. And then we looked at the transportation center, the football concession locker room, the football restroom storage, training building, the football field itself, the soccer concession, locker room, soccer field, tennis courts, baseball fields, soccer field, and then your outside storage building that's kind of on the way over there to the transportation center. So that's how we broke it down. So each one of these items, what is that, 12 or 13 buildings or places or spaces, all have a suitability score. So just to kind of take you through the process a little bit, we basically, and we started gathering drawings. We put a schedule together. We had some meetings with the core group with Dr. Glaze and Dr. Jaworski early on, and Dan was part of those meetings. Dan is a big, obviously gives us a lot of input on what we're looking at. We worked with him through the projects. Then we really came on site and just spent a whole day out here. We entered everything into SCOPE, which stands for Strategic Capture of Planning Elements. That's something Schmidt came up with years ago. That's where we put all of our data, and then we can put it back out in Power BI, and you can see graphs and pie charts like you were seeing a minute ago. And again, that is something that we'll hand over to you. And if you fix something, replace something, you can change a 0 to a 4, so on and so forth. And then we've at this point now, we've got our potential projects itemized. We presented those last week to Scott and to Dan to say, here's what we saw as priorities. We're going to kind of go through that tonight on a high level. And then the next step really is to start, and we will put it all into a report that you'll have. But the next step is to work with you is if you decide, okay, we've got X amount of dollars we're going to spend on fixing things up, we can help you prioritize what those items are. Because there's a lot of decisions to be made, obviously. There's about $25 million worth of things in here that need to be sorted out as far as conditional assessment. So here's how the building scored. The tennis courts scored very well, 88%. I think the storage building out there had some roofs. That may have pulled the score down, but those are things you may not even look at as priorities. But that scored very well. 88% is a good score. Any building that's in the 70s is usually a pretty good score too. Your soccer field, because of the bleachers and the press box, that pulled that score up. There are some items on the soccer field that need some attention, but they're not major items. Football field, obviously, that was a recent project as well. And then on down, elementary, middle school, high school, since we just did a lot of work here, those are scoring a little higher. Transportation's a little bit older. We did that project 20 years ago, maybe. So it's starting to show some wear. And then, yep, yeah. Yeah, actually, most of the scores, I think, are just asphalt. And asphalt, again, just gets beat up and it kind of brings down the scores. And then the baseball, the outside storage area, kind of on down to the football restroom, storage, training office, which is your lowest scoring item. And probably no surprises there. Does this all make sense?
Question.
Yep.
Why does your color-coded chart different than the original color-coded chart?
This one here?
Yeah, that has 5 categories and this one has 4. It's kind of confusing that your colors changed.
I think that's because I stuck this one in. Where'd it go? Not moving now.
On this one, 45% is green and on this one it's yellow, so I was just.
I will replace that. It's use the ones that are right there. That's correct. I put this was not in the presentation yesterday, so I grabbed it from another one and it had different colors.
Throwing me off. Switch charts on me.
I'll fix it and we'll make sure we get it corrected in the manual. So yeah, the idea is I think that the percentages should match.
Percentages are the same, but
yeah, the colors
over there it's green and over here it's
Yep.
yellow, so.
Yep, nope, use those. Those are the correct ones there. So just big picture here, the items you'll see most is by discipline, is mechanical, is in the gray. That was a big number, about 11 million, about 10 million in electrical, and then about 9 million in site. Those are going to be your bigger categories across the board, mechanical, electrical, and site. And then by building, you can see that the buildings shake out that the high school, elementary school, and the middle school, those are the highest scoring, highest needs because they're the biggest and there's more to them.
Could you define mechanical for me? Because in my mind, I roll electrical and HVAC.
Yeah, mechanical is essentially HVAC. It's your exhaust, your boilers, your chillers, your controls, everything that handles the climate, basically.
Okay.
Yeah, and electrical would be panels, devices, anything, lighting. Lighting is part of electrical.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
generators, transformers.
Yep.
Okay, so this is our Power BI, a summary. And I'm going to, instead of showing you this, I'm going to escape out of there and pull up the. So this is our scope document, and it has all of the scores in here. You can start to send this, you can play around with it, but you can click here and see what the different scores are. And let's go to the elementary school. So if we go to elementary school, you can see architecture scored about 57%, electrical 56. You can see the green, and I got to make sure these colors all match up too. Eric, so we'll do that. And then the site down at the bottom, and then those all roll up into that overall score of about 70%. But you can start to see where most of where the scores are lower. You can break down into architecture, and that's where you see all the detail.
How
Like,
does that tie to the rating of 49?
where's the 49?
On this page? You said elementary school? That.
I'm gonna have to see what that is. Second here. These should be the numbers here that you're seeing on the screen, and I think those match your book. Scores. 35 for the soccer building. Yeah, those are matching on here. Which one are you looking at? You're looking at 49 on the elementary school, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Page 9 in the PowerPoint.
So,
Yeah, okay, those are not the same thing there. We'll clean that column up. So thanks for catching. That is not what that column means. I need to talk to Libby at our office and find out what that column is. The items that are correct are these percentages here that you see on the screen.
So this page and the related cost and inflation is not related to what you're showing us there?
It is, yes. Yeah. Yeah, this sheet here, go back to my scope document. Project list. See this, if you can see that, 25 million, even though this column here, I need to find out what that rating is. It is, it's not the overall percentage. I think that's the total number of. Yeah, I need to check on what that column is, but the project cost here, the 25 million you see here, that is the same thing that's in your PowerPoint.
Should it add up to the same as this pie chart?
It should.
It doesn't.
Okay, well, let me pull up my score sheet. Let me show you how this works. So this is our, can everybody see this okay? You can see it on your, so this is how everybody scores it. You go here and you can select the building that you want. Turn that off. Let's check the elementary school. You go over here, you can go in here and see all the items that scored. Didn't have any fours, so if we got items that all score 2, we can click on this and it'll pull up items that score 2. 1.5 is on here, 2.5, 3. And these are for the architecture items. Yeah, these, and then the costs are all over here at the right. The team put the cost in for these. For instance, the roof is a big one at the elementary school. And that's not the roof that was just fixed, right? So, yeah. Yeah. And then looking at site, for instance. Let's pull up the soccer field here. Soccer. A little small, I'm gonna blow that up, so I'm sorry about that. Go here and pick the items that scored poorly. You can see those are the ones that have the cost to them, like the scoreboard, it's got an old scoreboard, replacing the netting, the benches, replacing the fence, new flagpole. Those come to 155,000. Those are construction cost. And if we go back to this sheet, it's 174 because we have some inflation added in. So this formula adds in some inflation and it adds in soft costs. So the total sheet, those costs that you see on here on the one I was manipulating, those are construction costs. But you got to make sure we add some costs, some inflation, some contingency, and then soft costs. So that soccer field, if you fixed all those items, it would be more like 246,000 would be the total project cost. So they're all going to be represented that way. And why the bar chart is not, or this chart is not adding up, I'll have to look into that.
And the 8.5 is irrelevant,
Where's the 8.5?
that rating.
Yeah, I got to find out what that rating is in that score. I think what we need to do is call this the suitability percentage and change that to the suitability percentage, and they wouldn't add up here. So my apologies, I'm just not sure what that
How
is.
many people rated them?
Well, we had electrical engineer that rated all the electrical items. So if you go back to this, see these tabs at the bottom? We have architecture.
I was just wondering if the rating added up to all of the.
I think,
Okay.
I think they do add up, but I don't know what they're in there for, so. But that's how this spreadsheet works. Again, you can go through here and just locate the baseball field and look at all the items on the baseball field. And then again, looking at your poor scoring items here. Yeah, so, yeah, I think that was the, which one is that? Baseball. Yeah, that was mostly from the press box building, the casework, the flooring. And for, the baseball field, you may not go out and fix those things. What you may do is say, we're going to do a major baseball field project, right? And you'll say, we're going to, for instance, if you were doing synthetic turf someday, that's an opportunity to go out there and replace the press box. That press box works fine. We think you need to probably focus more on mechanical, electrical type items at your buildings, at your school buildings. And I'll just go through the rest of this PowerPoint here. So these pages here, and again, we'll double check all of this and get it back to you to make sure that these numbers here are matching the graphs and all that. But this starts to show you how each discipline scored for each building. So the high school, the architecture wasn't bad. Interior was up here. Plumbing was low. That's probably just some fixtures, maybe some, we have all the detail in here of what our plumbing engineers saw that should be fixed. Site, but we've got a summary here at the side, and the asterisks really indicate items that scored the highest, where the highest need is. And you're going to see that a lot, like I said early. Site, HVAC, and electrical are the items that have the bigger scoring items. Site, it's usually going to be asphalt walks and curbs. And your dumpster pads, that was on here. We put on here the back patio. It's, the back patio could be dressed up, may not be a priority, but something you might want to think. It didn't score very well. And fencing in your generator back there, but by far and away, asphalt walks and curbs. We recommend a plan, just like with roofs, that, every year or so, you do some seal coating, you do some mill and overlaying. I think most of your parking lot could use a mill and overlay, except for the north lot that's new and in very good shape. So we figure a mill and overlay plus some full depth repair, restripe, and it's a big number. So how do you do it? How do you tackle one area each year, and maybe you take on by space? So that's what you're going to see with most of these scores on the site. And we broke the site up with the high school because that's the north end. The middle school is kind of the middle parking lots and walks, and then the elementary obviously to the south. And while you're at it with the asphalt, that's a good opportunity to fix some of your broken sidewalks, your curbs. There's a few things out there. It's good to do a spot check, what needs fixed. And so we make some estimates, high level estimates at this point to get those covered. And then down, and you look at the middle school, again, very similar here. The loading dock's kind of beat up back there. Again, is it worth putting some money into that? I think maybe fixing some railings and some concrete, patching it up would be good. Architecture, media center, rails, Tom, you noticed that. Door sweeps, wood doors inside the building. Interiors flooring, paint, casework. You're gonna see that a lot in here, that there are still some areas that yet you could do some of that work. HVAC, there's just a long list of HVAC, and if I go back to here, to mechanical, for instance. Let's see, that was middle school, yep. Take the middle school here. Central plant. So hard, a little hard to see, blow it up. These are the notes from our mechanical engineer. Boilers are about 30 years old, so that would be a priority. Some of your water pumps should be a priority, your chilled water air separator. Anything that's scored in this 1.5 is pretty bad, obviously. And he's got some 2.5 items you don't necessarily need to focus on. System is in fair condition, so you'll see that a lot. But the areas that score in this 1.5 are the areas that we think you might want to focus on. We did put a number in here for the controls. I think that's what that is. Yep, the control system. Upgrading your controls while you're at it with the HVAC improvements. And those costs are over here. And again, you can go back and see what the mechanical costs are when you start drilling down into the spreadsheet. Yep. Okay.
And maybe you, does each school have its own independent system?
I think that's for the most part, right? Yeah.
So if for some reason we had to shut off the entire high school, we could. It will not affect the middle school. That blend part. And that they're all totally independent?
I'm not sure that they're totally independent. That's a good question for our mechanical engineer, but there are certainly some independent things, but I don't know if they all. I mean, we would probably want to ask I think as our mechanical engineer, if you start to do a mechanical project, definitely he would lay all that out, how you go about it, how you could shut down areas, other areas. Because he's dug into all that.
It's just that when they intersection. There's a zone in there. Kind of overlaps.
Say I have experienced something that was I don't want legionnaires throughout the whole
Right.
school.
Yeah,
Okay.
right.
And I want to be able to shut off a building if there has to be.
Yeah, but as you can see here, when I pull up the middle school and the high school, there are certainly different systems that are associated with the middle school that are the high school. But there may be some commonalities as well. The main gym has its own system that is getting old. It needs, probably needs to be on the list. It says here it was about 1996, part of it is, and then so 97. So, and then the main gym, energy recovery unit, a lot of detail here. I didn't hit all this here on the high school, but again, just kind of hitting some of the items. Again, HVAC, the electrical service, generator, life safety, fire alarm. I think the fire alarm's an issue at some places. Plumbing were not big numbers, but concern about some of the plumbing systems, the hot water heaters and those types of things. Some of those were old and pointed out. Technology, I think our technology engineer was saying some video surveillance and electronic access controls could be made, improvements could be made. And then he also looks at the sound systems and the auditorium music. So these are just summary notes. Again, in the spreadsheet, all those items are outlined in a good description of what the proposed work should be.
When was this survey done?
We were here, I think probably end of last year, early this year. maybe early this year.
We redone the music.
Yeah, it was,
Yeah.
that you guys came in, I believe it was in the winter, this past winter, so, yeah.
And I think Tom, you just did capture the roof though, the roofing work that was done, the playground. That's what's good about this document, like for the playground, for instance. We go to the elementary school, actually we got to go to site, so that's scored under site. So you can see it. Playground services. So these scored very, playground was pretty bad, and we'll take another look at it, but I think most of that's all been rebuilt, right? I haven't seen the final product, but that way you can go in here, change these to 4, and it starts to change your numbers in real time. So that would take a lot of these costs down, because I don't know, how much did your playground cost? How much money did you spend on that? You remember?
Yeah, we're somewhere around 600, north of 650, I believe.
Okay, so we had a budget of 750 in here, so that's pretty close to what that'd be. Okay, so we'll update that. And then looking at some other areas here, the transportation center, most of that, buildings, again, if it doesn't have a sign or identification sign on there, we usually score it low. That doesn't mean you have to add a sign, but it's something to think about, because your buildings here have signs, obviously. Might be a good idea to put some directional signage in there for pedestrians and traffic. And again, the asphalt walk's just a maintenance program to update some of that. The rest of the building, not too much. Tom, you noted the exterior windows maybe had some, yeah, so, restrooms, some of the finishes in there, electrical occupancy sensors, you've got those here now, might be something to think about, but nothing really big at the transportation center. And then looking at your football concession locker room, we broke that out separately. The picnic table's a little dated. There's some drainage standing in front of the building. Architecturally, the coiling doors, ceiling pads, flooring finishes, those are the types of things you'll see in there. And again, some mechanical room needs and some controls. If that's a priority, our engineer pointed that out as some low scoring. And then you can see the lighting control, safety lighting, and then a few plumbing items as well, but nothing major. And then looking at your football restroom, storage, training building, probably a lot of the same. Tom noted some exterior masonry, might be an opportunity to do some masonry repair on the building and masonry joints. Yeah. Yeah. Flooring, HVAC distribution, electrical, pull that one up here. That was the football concessions, or that was the public restroom. Yeah. Prop heater, storage room. Yeah, it's almost, it's about 40 years old. So, yeah. But again, those are smaller items, but things that should be on the list. Okay, moving along. The football field scored very well. The press box, not as well, just because, and most of these scores here, most of these items that were pointed out as low scoring items are associated with the press box. Obviously, the field and the track are new and in very good shape. But you can see over here, yeah, architecturally and electrical, those are associated with the press box. So that one. Hold on here. Soccer concession restroom building. Casework, flooring, walls, vertical. There's some VUVs, vertical unit ventilators in there, and controls that our mechanical engineer has scored low, but very similar items. The food service equipment. I mean, it's just kind of some older equipment out there. The soccer field scored pretty well. A few things that the scoreboard's old, the netting's ripped up, player benches aren't so good, perimeter fence is rough, and the flagpole. But those are smaller items. Those are items you could If you do a project, you could easily replace them, or you could do them one at a time, and they're not gonna break the bank. Obviously, the bleachers, press box, pretty good shape. Tennis courts, very nice, brand new. The baseball field, it's the baseball field and the softball field really they're dated. You haven't done a lot of work. The press boxes are very similar. They're off to the side. They're not right behind the fence. The backstop's getting a little dated. I think the flagpole's in really bad shape out there, and there's some access walks that are just kind of rough, and that might be an opportunity to upgrade some of your sidewalks when you're doing a project out there on the baseball field. And then the press box, some of these items, these are really associated with the press box, just like with football, the interiors. HVAC and electrical really didn't have much. And then the press box, water equipment, piping, plumbing, fixtures, food service equipment. Again, might be ideal for a baseball, softball upgrade and do many things at once instead of if you're going to replace your press box, for instance, one day, that'd be a great opportunity to do your backstop, maybe put some netting up, put new bleachers behind there. And just clean the whole thing up. So, and softball's going to be very, very similar to that. And then the outside storage building site, there was standing water in the back. There's some concrete pavement, asphalt. That the road that goes over to transportation has some pretty bad. It's pretty bad. And then there's some parking spots that I don't know if anybody ever uses over there, but that asphalt's in really bad shape. So that shows up on your costs as well. But no, nothing really major as far as the rest of the team. So again, just coming back to our big picture cost here. Really I would say focusing more on your school buildings with mechanical, electrical, maybe a few other things, and maybe some site upgrades, asphalt walk. That'd be probably the way to start putting some sort of a program together. So questions?
Yeah, so using your red, yellow, blue, black, or whatever that color
Yep.
is. The darkest color is new, and then the blue is like above average? Is that
Yeah.
what you would say?
Yes, definitely.
So,
For the most
I've
part.
only seen this for 5 minutes, but
That's okay.
the most yellow I see is plumbing, but you don't seem to be emphasizing plumbing. Every building seems to
Yeah.
have a yellow plumbing, which is below 26 to 50%. We don't have any red.
Yeah.
That's good news, I think, right?
I don't know if we're using. Yeah. Oh, you mean, yeah, kind of
Orange.
orange. No, yeah, that's the 0 to 25%. It
Kinda
is
red on my
rare to
printout.
find a school building in that.
But anyway, my point is,
Yeah.
when I flip through here very quickly,
Yeah.
most of the yellow is plumbing and some mechanical. I don't know, I thought you guys were emphasizing sidewalks and pavement and some site things, but based on the yellow, I see plumbing as an issue, which is
And I
a
think-
$3 million
Yeah, it's about,
total ticket item.
you can see here on the pie chart, it's about 3 million. Again, I'm going to double check these numbers, so I apologize for that. But
Because if you look, mechanical, electrical, and site add up to 30 million, and your budget for us is 25 million. So I know there's something,
right on this pie chart.
I'm not a math major.
No, I know. But I do believe these are the numbers we're looking at here, because these are right out of the spreadsheet. I just need to find out from Libby how the pie charts look different here, so. But this is, if you look here, look,
I'm not asking, like, this isn't a gotcha question. I'm
No,
trying
no,
to
no, I-
follow this.
yeah.
And the yellow, gold, whatever color we're calling it,
Mhm.
seems to be mostly plumbing.
let me see if I can break it out that way, because our Power BI, pull this up bigger.
The big problem we had in some of the buildings too.
That, part of the issue.
And I would say, as far as the baseball press booth plumbing thing goes, Rob can hold it.
Yeah, I think so.
There's a line of trees just beyond the park. I'm fine, Eric.
I had you in mind, Rob.
I appreciate that, but, yeah.
Well, let's see.
I remember as we were doing the renovation for the middle school, that whole line that we took out, and replaced, because, so it's galvanized. I could, you could just take the finger and poke holes. So as part of the renovation, we took that out, we trenched, in the corridor. We did some sanitary, but we didn't do everything. We took the worst major pipes and spent money on that. We couldn't chase everything. So there's still stuff left.
Yeah.
And that's what this big blacktop.
And there are a lot of plumbing, they just don't add up to as big a numbers as mechanical. But you can see here at the football concession locker building, they had about $240,000 in plumbing.
Well, I'm not looking at dollars. I'm just looking at, this to me tells me
Yeah.
priority of timeline of fixing. I'm just asking if I'm following.
Yeah, which page
What
are
I'm
you
looking
looking at? Are you looking at a?
I'm looking at every middle school.
Oh, okay.
Plumbing is yellow.
Yep.
Transportation, plumbing is yellow.
Yep.
Football concessions, plumbing is yellow.
It's
Football
actually,
restrooms.
it's actually orange on the, on one of them here. The
Yes, that's the only one. Football
Baseball field,
restrooms,
baseball field.
baseball field.
Yeah.
And football maybe. There aren't too many though.
And so when you're talking about plumbing, you're only talking about within the buildings or facilities.
Essentially.
So how do we know there's good drainage, there's good tile work? How do we know it's connected to the city and from on out?
Yeah.
Because if it's not connected right in the first place, it's all gonna come back here anyway.
We can only evaluate the things that we can see. And the things that we can dig up out of your existing plan, well, whatever it's original. We didn't, scope every line out to the street. So these are all evaluations within the building.
And talking with Dan and getting his input.
Exactly, where he's had trouble before, and that gave us a good direction as to, we need to pop some ceilings, investigate that area more thoroughly. And that's where scoring comes.
Sometimes
you just don't know what you don't know. And we had to do all this scoping and everything before we realized that, especially here in the middle school, that all of those sanitary.
Oh, I'm used to scoping.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I want,
So a lot of it's just part of, the investigation area of the project, kind of find areas where maybe things aren't doing.
and when I pull up the scores, these are for the, I'm in the plumbing section, and these are just the school buildings, the 3 school buildings. So you can see there's a lot of low scores, and that's what pulls that number down, right? That down to yellow or in orange in some cases. So if I went to the baseball press box, the scores would even be worse. I don't know if our plumbing engineer sees a 0 as, or a 2 as a low score or a high score, or how they're handling it, but they do have everything outlined here. For instance, the domestic water heater mixing circuit, there's no circulation. So that's an item that 0 is gonna pull down the number, obviously, but it's a $10,000 item. It's not, they're not necessarily bigger items like replacing a chiller or boiler. If I'm answering your questions, I think that's why the numbers are just so low, because there's a lot of individual items.
I don't know. I'm seeing low numbers as a good thing.
What's that?
I see low numbers as a good thing.
Okay,
Low dollar numbers, not,
Oh.
not score numbers.
right.
Well, and some of this, we may have different, thoughts on what we think, like that circulating cost. And, we normally, we're building something, we would put something like, hot water all the time. But because it makes me want to output. Turn on the hot water handle and wait. For the hot water to get you have to kind of take those things, you know, and kind of think about what's important.
When we reached out to Schmidt Associates to complete this audit for us, one of the main purposes was to get an outside third-party perspective on what our facilities look like, right? I mean, again, when you're working in a project for so long, you kind of get blind to it. There's things that seem normal that really aren't normal that we probably should address. And so that's what we've asked these guys to come in and do. They've got that. They've got their data pretty very detailed outline from top to bottom. What we plan to do next with this information is just a data point, right? These are data points from one party coming in and saying this is what we think needs to happen from our perspective. We're going to work with our team. That includes our maintenance and facilities team. That includes our building principals, and then ultimately, priority-wise, that comes down to you guys as far as here are the things that we are being told from the outside. Here's what we understand about our systems from the inside. Here's what our recommendation would be to the board as far as what needs to be done over the next 3 to 5 to 10 years. What we need to do now, what we can put off a few years, and what we can put off 5 to 10 years, right? And then it would be up to you guys to determine, okay, looking at those dollar figures, is that something that we want to spend big dollars on a handful of items that are really critical, or spread those dollars out to a wide variety of things that kind of need to be addressed sooner than later, right? Again, this is just the first step in this process. It's about getting that baseline data of overview picture, where are we at? And so I'm really grateful for the amount of detail in this. I'm going to take a grain of salt with the scores because, again, there's things that they're seeing. They may have given it a 0 because they just didn't see it, but we actually do have it. Those are things that absolutely can happen. Again, it's a matter of, I don't believe Dan was with you guys during that tour. So again, it was kind of working through, seeing what you can see. There's a lot of things that when I sat through this with Dan, he's like, there's a lot of these things that we actually do have that we're not going to need to take a cost on. And that's part of, they saw what they saw. We're going to take the information that we have. We're going to put together a list of recommendations, and then it'll be up to the board to prioritize how those projects get completed.
What are good things about it? Dan, and we're saying, you don't have circular pumps. Oh, yeah, it's above sea on over there. Maybe it changes.
No, I find this incredibly helpful. I'm just asking questions to make sure I understand the colors and the coding. It's incredibly helpful, and I think it's incredibly encouraging. There's a lot of blue here.
Yeah.
Which in Tipton, we're fans of blue already. So,
Different shades of blue. I like that.
south of here, they probably have a lot of orange on their chart.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, definitely stay here,
we
Tipton.
did the same thing at Lafayette, and it's similar. They have one building that's one of the first buildings I saw really, really low. So like in the 20s or something, 30s or something like that. You don't have any buildings in that area, which is good. But yeah, we usually see buildings in that 60 to 70. It's very common. I think our plumbing engineer may be a little bit more of a harsh judge in some cases, but they have all the detail here, which is great. If any questions on any of this, they can say, yeah, that domestic water piping, we saw it, it's bad, it needs replaced, and here's a description of it. So a lot of information here. And not only what they found, this column, and you can see this for all of our different disciplines, this column says, here's what we found, here's what we suggest you do to replace it. So corrective action is over here, and then on this side are the costs that go with that, the rough high-level estimates, and then those go back into the overall spreadsheet. Costs. And again, as you move forward with, what your decisions are, we want to be at the table with our team so they can help advise. If you're going to do that, you really should do this. This one you can probably wait on and help sort that out, whether it's 2 years, 3 years, 4 years down the road. And we will clean up the numbers and get that right back to you, get the charts and send this PowerPoint back to you to make sure things are matching, colors are matching. So apologize for that.
Yeah, once we get all that cleaned up, I'll send that out to you guys. And like I said, I'm sure we'll have several more conversations. This will be a several month project as far as identifying things that we need to start looking forward to. Again, right now, we've used a lot of our bond money recently, so we've got a couple years before some of that falls off that we look at some of those larger projects again. So again, we have time, but right now it's just a lot of information gathering, monitoring things, prioritizing, and then with the money we do have, identifying what needs now safety wise versus what we can save for that larger bond purchase. Yeah.
And we'll also send you the spreadsheet here. That is not in the PowerPoint, obviously. That's just a summary, but this spreadsheet has all the information so you can, we have some cleaning up to do on it, but you'll ultimately have that as well.
All right, thank you, guys.
Okay,
Appreciate
thanks,
it.
everybody.
Any other questions? Everybody good? Beth, you're good. All right. Well, with that, we've got 15 minutes for you to cover. So you have 5 minutes per section, or it bleeds over into the next meeting.
Mind, I can
You're
I
getting
can
my
run
drift.
that. Let me.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
We'll see if this works. Next for me or not. All right. It's not connected on that TV is the only problem. Yeah, if you want to sync that up. All right. Ooh, everything went away. Well, it was connected.
Did anybody see what color audiovisual in the community room was on the spreadsheet? Because we're having some
There we go.
difficulties here. And I just-
All right.
I don't think that's in their purview.
Is that a yellow?
Alrighty.
Maybe it's
Let's
user error.
jump into this
I don't know
real
what the
quickly.
color code is for that, Rob.
Perfect. Okay. So as got about a few minutes here, I want to kind of jump in. There's a few items I just want to clean up, reiterate for our community, reiterate for our board, make sure that we're all on the same page about things. So first off, we recently passed a few food service policies, wellness policies. That was actually happening concurrently with an IDOE audit that was being conducted end of spring semester. So as we were passing those along to be updated with legal changes, we also had this audit going through. And the audit had some corrective actions to take. So again, it was recently audited by the IDOE. As a result of that audit, one of the few procedural corrective actions given was related to our meal charging procedures. So as it was, we had a student meal debt cap that we were not enforcing, allowing students to continue to receive the hot meal breakfast or lunch while continuing to go into greater and greater debt. And in some cases, for some students and families, that was hundreds of dollars. Over the summer, we developed a new procedure that will be proposed in tonight's first reading of policy F-175. The procedure allows students to, again, that grace period to continue receiving regular meals while their account balance is negative up to $30. That's the threshold. Once the student's meal balance exceeds that $30 of debt, the student will be offered an alternative meal at a reduced price, and that cost will continue to accrue. Again, students with negative balances may not may not charge a la carte items. So any kind of chips or extra snacks on the side from the actual meal will not be allowed. And families, again, will receive weekly notifications regarding the amount owed. That is already currently done as an automatic notice. When you go into debt, you get a weekly message from our system letting people know, hey, your child's lunch balance is in debt. You need to make sure you turn in some money to make sure that gets paid off. Again, that's why we have that $30 grace period. Again, the policy establishes the accountability by allowing unpaid balances to be referred to collections after 30 days. At the same time, families experiencing financial hardship can apply for meal assistance or appeal to the superintendent when exceptional circumstances exist. So again, we have some natural protections in there for extreme circumstances, but any debt that is ultimately forgiven has to be supported by the documented reasons and paid using, again, non-federal funds. That's part of the corrective actions that were requested. Again, it's going to be that $30 debt limit, and then after that, it's an alternative meal that kids will be offered. Questions, concerns about this?
No, the last time I asked about this, I got put on 2 committees. So,
Yeah, watch out. We're assigning committees tonight, so it's
Yeah,
good time to stay quiet, right, Eric?
Well, I'll just say, one of my suggestions was, I think this is a key place that our counselors could intervene, because I would say that parents that keep getting this weekly are gonna ignore it after the third one, and I think they need to come in and their hand be held and talk through this in a non-confrontational and to help them. I ignore emails all the time. Okay, I think the
As you
counselor,
human, yeah.
I think Gina just walked in, I'll pick on her. I think that department knows people who need help. And we should be reaching out to them, just not sending them an email, not sending them a website to click on here and fill out this 16-page form online that they might not know how to do.
Our food service team, actually Adam Pearl, who's unfortunately unavailable tonight, he's got somewhere else he had to be. He has reached out to a lot of those families, and we try to schedule times for them to come in to work with us to help. We offer to help them out. The issue is, and it's just the unfortunate situation, is that some families are just above that threshold, that they don't qualify, but they still struggle to pay some of the bills for meals here. Or a family could go into poverty and then they bounce back above it, and then they're not qualified for that anymore. So again, there's a lot of back and forth, and it's challenging for those families. But I agree, if we can remove some barriers to open that avenue for even one family, multiple families, as many as we can get, that's better for us. That's better for them and the kids ultimately.
And just to confirm, the donations from the community for the unpaid lunch balances, like that's exhausted, there's no more.
Yeah, so we've exhausted that, and actually, I believe we're gonna work to see if we can't get further donations to help with that. That's actually in policy F-176 is about how we handle some of the leftover funds. So, for example, we'll have some graduating seniors who have some extra dollars. If it's less than $10, we can roll that into our donation fund. If it's more than $10, we make an effort to get that money back to families. But ultimately, if they either don't respond or if they say, hey, go ahead and just add that to donations, we can do that as well. But yeah, we're looking to find some solutions for that. We're always accepting donations for lunches. Again, nobody wants to prevent a student from getting a hot meal, but again, we're kind of in a position where we're strapped for money, and we need to make sure that we can pay our bills, and that's part of this. Again, a student will still have the opportunity, regardless if they're in debt, to receive a meal. It just might not be the regular lunch meal. It'll be a sack lunch, which includes a sandwich, milk, and a vegetable and a fruit. And that's it's not that we're not feeding kids; it's that it just might not be the meal that they want. But again, that's kind of what this policy is going to kind of dictate.
And just to be clear, I don't think you said this, at the end of the year, we have to pay off those unpaid lunch
Yep.
bills out of our operations.
We cannot
Fine.
go into negative. So
Right.
what we do
We
is
owe
that
the government that money.
at the end of each year, we use our operations dollars to pay off that debt.
Yeah.
And then once the school year rolls over, we add that back on. But we have to have that money on hand to cover those fees or cover that debt. And if we don't, then again, we get in trouble there. So it's really a matter of just being financially responsible. We can't allow kids to get into hundreds of dollars of debt. And if you have multiple kids in a single family, again, these are families that have real hardships. And we want to make sure we do the best we can, but we just can't allow them to continue getting $3, $3.50 a meal every day and continuing taking it further and further into debt. Again, it's a difficult conversation. It's not something that anybody really wants to do, but at the same time, we're still offering meals. It's just at a, a preset items. So.
I don't want to put you on the spot, but do you know what that number was last year that we had to pay out of operations or this previous
Oh,
school year?
yes,
Or a
we
rough-
talked about this. Off the top of my head, if I think the total number of donations that we used, I'm probably gonna get this backwards. It's either the donations that we used or the amount of debt that we accrued was around $15,000. And again, that's unpaid things that we need to
Sure.
get cut down. I think we end up spending $8,000 in donations to bring that down to around 6,000 or so. And I think that's what we ultimately had at the end of the year. It was around 6,500 or something. We had to pay that off, and then it's been put back on for this
I
next year.
think 2 years ago was a lot more.
Yeah, no, and like I said,
30,000, Don? I mean, not, some of it was paid by donations, but
we received a lot of
It's gotten
generous donations, but yeah, it's one of those things that the IDE came in and said, hey, we don't care if your policy is $30, $5, infinite, but you need to follow whatever is in your policy. Sorry, 626. I want to make sure I'll do one more here, and then we'll get the rest of this in the regular meeting. So for the transportation fee, I know this is a topic of conversation that's out there. So historically, the district has covered the full cost of our transportation for athletics, clubs, competitions, or other extracurricular activities. Because these expenditures come from the operations fund, which also supports regular transportation, utilities, insurance, and other essential services, we can no longer absorb all those costs without impacting our other priorities. So the new plan establishes this $5 per student contribution for each completed round trip. It's an organizational contribution, not necessarily a mandatory individual family fee. Teams and clubs can elect to charge families directly for that fee, or there are other options. We can do fundraisers, the booster support, activity accounts, donations. I've got a courtyard full of rocks I'd like to get taken out and replaced with some of the turf we got from the old elementary playground. I'd be willing to work with one of our teams or clubs to see if we can't do a trade where they do a service for the schools and we can help cover some of the costs for travel there. Again, there are a lot of different options that we want to look into, but what's important to understand is that no student will be excluded because of an inability to pay that $5 fee. We'll review the plan at the end of the school year, and if the referendum becomes available for our extracurricular transportation, the intent is to eliminate that fee entirely. Again, just to reiterate, the $5 contribution is an organizational transportation assessment. It can be passed along to families, or it can be covered by donors or other booster clubs. It's also not a fee that you can kind of get around by saying, well, I'm just going to transport my kids to and from activities. We have a rule that you have to be transported as a team to the activity. If you want to, as a family, if you want to take your kid from the activity home, you can do that as long as you're following the procedures, communicating with the coaches, and making sure all that is communicated effectively so we know where the student is at. But again, we want to make sure we're included the organization's assessment, as that's what's going to be charged here. Since again, the costs of providing the bus and driver remains largely the same on all this. So any alternative transportation arrangements, again, need to follow the team's. I will stop there so we can get into our.
1 minute. All right, well, it is 6:30. We'll call to order the Tipton Community School Corporation School Board meeting. First is our Pledge of Allegiance and our vision statement. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our vision statement, growing empowered, future-ready students who are prepared for a lifetime of opportunity and success. Before we get to Tell Me Something Good, we would all be remiss if we did not wish a very happy birthday to Dawn, who is celebrating, yep. She is 29 again, so this is huge. And so happy birthday, and sorry to schedule this on your birthday. But, okay, so on to the Tell Me Something Good. This is an opportunity for the board to comment on items from campus or extracurriculars, things of that nature. So I'd open up the floor for anybody with some good news to share.
I'm just excited. I come to the school frequently and see updates for the playgrounds, and it's looking so good. And it's just nice to see everything kind of a one color. And can't wait for the turf to go on because that will totally change it. But my youngest will be in kindergarten this year, and he's so excited for that playground. So it's looking great.
I did want to make a special note. I think at our last regular board meeting, we made a note of perfect attendance from our staff. There was one that we left off, and I want to sincerely apologize to Miss Paula Stevens. Again, she not only had perfect attendance this last school year, but also the year before that. So back-to-back years, perfect attendance for Paula Stevens. Definitely nothing to sneeze at. No pun intended there. This is, again, a truly outstanding achievement, and again, something that needs to be recognized. So congratulations to Paula Stevens.
Anybody else? All right, we will move into our Blue Future Awards. I believe, Mr. Jaworski, you are on deck here.
Yeah, I'm actually going to invite volleyball coach Missy Henry up to help me with this one. Just as a quick intro, we saw this on this was passed along from, what is it? It wasn't IHSA, it was yeah, it's one of those acronyms, Indiana High School Volleyball Coaches Association. So again, our ladies back are these I think 13 or 14 ladies for our volleyball team actually were able to, I really don't know which way to stand, were actually able to achieve, it was an academic team award, and something that, again, is only handed out to a handful of teams throughout the state, and something that, if I'm not mistaken, this isn't the first time they've gotten it?
Memory goes back to 2019, but I'm old.
Okay.
It might be further, but I
Okay.
just sure 2019.
Yes. So again, I want to make sure we brought everybody up, and I'll actually have Missy hand out the awards to all of our ladies. Yep. Right in there.
I don't know if everybody's here, but Kai Beach, Addie Cheshire, Anya Klein is not feeling well, but Anya Klein, Kellen Everling, Shelby Fernon, Bella Henderson, Sarah Jane, Phil, SJ, that's weird to see Sarah Jane. Sophia Lopez, Natalie Moreland, Jalen Morris, Emily Mumbauer, Lucy Roach, Michaela Shinlob, and Olivia Van Hook. And if I could also add that to get this award, you had to have a cumulative GPA of 3.5 or better, and these guys had 3.6688 and a bunch of other numbers. So they did really, really well. So I appreciate their hard work in the classroom also.
Yeah, we appreciate them. They came straight from practice, if I'm not mistaken. So thank you very much for taking the time. Thank you, Coach Henry, for allowing them to get out a little bit early for that. And if you guys don't mind, take a picture with Dr. Lays in the back. That would be fantastic. So again, congratulations Lady volleyball.
And I wanted to recognize Darcy Dunn. She's gonna come up. So Darcy serves as our FFA president of our chapter, but last month she was also nominated and elected to be the District 4 FFA president. And that means that she serves 15 FFA chapters across the state, but then she also gets to serve on the executive committee, which is a broader reach. And so I think that was awesome to see. And of course, none of that would be possible without her advisors and our ag program educators that do such a great job of supporting. But I do believe that District 4 and our FFA will be very well served under Darcy.
So that concludes our Blue Future Awards. If you were here just for that, this is the appropriate time to step out. But next we have comments from the community. We have one, Kennedy Lancaster.
Turn that around.
Hello. Like you guys said, I'm Kennedy Lancaster. I'm going to be a senior this year at Tipton, and I'm our student body president. Today I'm here to ask the board to consider allowing us to decorate senior parking spots. When you're a senior, you've worked extremely hard throughout all 4 years of high school. Having a senior parking spot can be a very meaningful tradition and build school pride. Most schools successfully offer painted or reserved parking spots, and students are often willing to pay a fee or follow guidelines to help cover costs and maintenance. The next thing I want to cover is probably the big question most asked. What if students paint something inappropriate or not that doesn't follow the school guidelines? I think to avoid this, it would be great if you have to submit a design and have it approved before painting. And students would also have to agree to repaint anything that doesn't follow those said guidelines. Another question that might be asked is, what if students paint over the white lines? Again, to prevent that, the school could require students to leave a border around the white parking spots. By keeping several inches clear on all sides, the lines remain visible, the parking lots stay organized, and the students still have most of the space available to paint. And my final big question is, why is this important at all? It's more than just about having a reserved space, and it might seem like decorating a parking lot is small, but it gives seniors something to look forward to and creates a more positive memory to think about during their final year. Traditions like this strengthen the connection students feel to their school and encourage greater involvement in school activities. We understand that timing is crucial, so if the school board approves of this, we understand a deadline would need to be put in place, and we would need to follow that. Thank you again for your time and considering my proposal. If there's any questions, I'm more than happy to answer.
What do they normally use for the paint?
It would just be like an acrylic or something. It could even be something that's probably more easy to wash, and then it could be repainted over pretty easily.
Okay.
How many lots are you expecting? to
It would
use?
just be the student one behind the greenhouse. It would just be that one.
So how many parking spots are we talking about?
I think our class is about 125, 130-ish, and thinking not necessarily all of them have license, not necessarily get there. Sometimes they get right from parents. Not all of them probably don't want to participate, but most of them do. It'd be around there, so.
So Kennedy, two questions. Would the students consider paying for this privilege and having that money go towards lunch account balances for, okay. And then, at least in my high school, which was forever ago, we had to repaint the parking lot at the end of our senior year prior to graduation. Would the students do that?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Did a good job.
Great job, Kennedy.
not for her, but she mentioned a tradition, not here though, right?
It was.
It was.
It was for a long time, yeah.
When they repaved.
And Rob, I'm a little older than you, my parking lot was gravel, so we couldn't.
Yeah,
paint it.
we had a
No
hitching
li-
post
no
at my
line.
high school, Eric. We tied the horse up.
Yeah, no line.
So, okay. All right. On to our next item is the consent agenda. We have on that the approval of tonight's agenda, the approval of the minutes from the regular session and the executive session from June 9th, the executive session minutes from June 23rd, and our special session minutes that occurred on June 30th. We have the approval of payroll claims for June 18th and June 30th and July 2nd, and we have accounts payable claims for the month of July. We would have the approval of the personnel report, which I will read at the conclusion. We have no field trips to approve, and we have the approval of the donations that were included in your packet for the month of June. So would like a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda.
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. Any further discussion from the board? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the consent agenda, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The agenda is approved. The personnel report for July 21st. Certified staff resignations, we have Marcy Williams from the sixth grade ELA teacher in the middle school. We do have a recommendation for Ashley Higgins for sixth grade ELA teacher in the middle school. And classified staff, resignations of Lisa Hackler from the cafeteria at the high school, Ken Day, a corporation bus driver for TCSC, and Debbie Emberton which is the elementary school nurse from the elementary school. We have recommendations for Lindsay Lammy, Lammy. Okay, thank you. Cafeteria staff for the high school. We also have a recommendation for Larry Penley for the first shift custodian in the elementary school. And we have a pay rate change for Amanda Steiner, and we are adjusting her pay to the hourly structure for 26-27 school year. On the ECA staff, we have Craig Leach resigning as the sixth grade boys basketball coach. We have the resignation of Larry Murdoch for both the head football coach in the middle school and the assistant track coach at the middle school. Recommendations, we have Mara Eisenhower for the elementary school building leadership team representing kindergarten, Angela Meister for the TES building leadership team representing the first grade, Stacy Angel, TES building leadership team representing the second grade, Allison Ripberger, the elementary school building leadership team representing the third grade, Sherry Leffler, the TES building leadership team representing the fourth grade, Scott Leffler for the building leadership team representing the fifth grade, Nicole Oliver for the building leadership team representing special education, Aaron Strayer for the building leadership team representing special areas, Jessica Higginbotham for the building leadership team representing the reading specialist. We have Rachel Carter, building leadership team as a social worker, Josh Ireland as the TES grade level team chair for kindergarten, Lexi Geiger for the TES grade level team chair for first grade, Emma Long for the TES grade level team chair for second grade, Taylor Sampson for the TES grade level team chair for third grade, Paula Stevens, TES grade level team chair for fourth grade, Danielle Grubb for the TES grade level team chair for fifth grade, and Christina Soul for the TES grade level team chair for special education. And then we have Daisha Pothest for the TES grade level team chair for special areas. They're done. So next, moving on, we have the superintendent's report from Mr. Jaworski.
Just hopping back over to this, we talked about the meal debt policy. We talked about our transportation fee. The last two items before I jump into my highlight is the communication supplemental resource fees. This is going to be on the agenda tonight for your approval. This is an annual thing we started last year. I've got actually the costs associated for last year. So what you're looking at in this table is the student fees for grades K through 2. The state allows us to assess a nominal fee for certain services that are offered that are not necessarily curriculum materials. So the three things that are going to be assessed for kindergarten through second grade students is access to Power School, Student Information Service System, Parent Square, Mass Communication System, and then just general paper instruction. So what you'll notice is that we saw an increase in Power School and Parent Square. That's just par for the course. Those services increase annually. But paper instruction, we were able to find somewhat less expensive paper and just being mindful of our usage. And so we were able to see a reduction in the cost for that. So the fees for K through 2 increased from $36.91 to $40. And you might be wondering why those are really nice numbers on the right and kind of more specific numbers on the left. What we end up doing is we calculated what it would cost per student, and we rounded down to the nearest dollar. So again, just a little bit of way to alleviate a little bit for our families, but also make life a little bit easier for the collection side of things. Chasing people down for pennies is not fun for anybody. So that's where we got there. The next one is looking at grades 3 through 12, student fees. This one, same fees, except for one difference. Because grades 3 through 12 have a Chromebook, we have Securely technology aligned with that for filtering out unwanted things. Well, again, price changes are the same for those first three categories. The Securely, we kind of did that a little bit differently. Based off of the multi-year contract we got, we were able to reduce that price a few dollars. So we actually reduced it by about $1 for the total fee from last year to this year for grades 3 through 12. Again, taking some of those numbers, rounding down to the nearest dollar, we were able to kind of keep it relatively flat, a little bit down in costs. And again, that's going to be up for vote tonight. Any questions related to the fees? Again, something new. We kind of implemented this last year, something to kind of help alleviate some of the costs. Before I go any further, I want to apologize. I do want to note we do have our new 6th grade ELA teacher joining us tonight. That would be Ashley Higgins. Ashley, would you want to step up here real quick? Ms. Shears, would you mind coming up and saying just a couple words on behalf of Ashley?
So I'm super excited to add Ms. Higgins to our staff at the middle school. She has taken on our 6th grade English teaching position. She has been at TC for the last 7 years, so someone who is local. I was super excited a few years ago. Kara Conger was the first person I got to hire, who was a former student of mine. I never had Ms. Higgins, but I did have her sister in my classroom. So excited. And with the last name like Higgins, I was like, I feel like I've got to make a connection here. So in the interview, she really showed a real command of knowing what she's doing, and her references all spoke very highly of her capacity of just meeting students where they were, being tireless and helping to ensure that kids were learning the material. And it's just been such a pleasure already to get to know her, and we're so excited to add her to our team as family. So
Welcome to Tipton.
Welcome.
Good.
Thank you.
Jumping in back to the superintendent's report, a few fun items. Again, Andrea brought up this recently, the playground update. So if you've driven on State Road 19 by our elementary, you most surely have seen some of the work being done over there. Again, installation team is nearly finished with the freestanding structures you see on the screen here. I believe only the one with the many ropes is left, and I was told that was the most frustrating one to put together. So we're going to give them a little bit of time to finish that because we want to make sure it's safe and secure. But rest assured, the rocks you see on the screen here are just the foundation. That is not how it is staying. As Andrea mentioned, we are going to get some nice green turf to cover the playing surface there. As you can see, again, we also have a new canopy that's going to help provide some additional shade on the south end of the playground. Not pictured here, because I could take a million pictures of this, is the new Gaga Ball space pit. We actually are working with, Tesso is working with IU Health, I believe, to donate that new Gaga pit, and they'll be installing that here in the next couple weeks. So we should have everything ready to go for the start of the school year. Big shout out again to our facilities director, Eric Johnson, and mechanic Mark Webster for spending countless hours taking our famous dirt hill, replacing some of that north end of our old playground, filling that out, and planting some new grass there. So it is currently getting watered as we speak. couple weeks. Hope we get some good little grass seeds popping up there, and it'll be a nice little green space for our elementary kids to enjoy. So, and one more big thank you to our 5th grade teacher, Mrs. Hendricks. Our faded activity space here was in need of a little bit of love, and she came out about a couple weeks ago and went out and painted all that. Absolutely phenomenal. Looks bright, fun, and ready for kids to take advantage of. So again, playground is looking really nice these days.
Can I add something to that?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's important to know we had huge help from the county and the city through this whole project. And all of the material that we removed from the playground has been able to be donated to the county. So the Kirkendall Trails Project has been the recipient of all that material to help cover some of the new trails. So it did not go to a landfill or anything like that. It was actually repurposed by the county. So when you're walking on that, you're walking on our donated thing. But I wanted to mention
Absolutely,
that we were able to give that back to the community and help with some of those low spots on the trail.
Additional updates that have been happening. If you've been a part of athletics, you've probably gone through the frustration of being down 2 gyms for a few weeks. We appreciate everybody's patience for that. Again, our volleyball girls, I'm sure, were recipients of that as well. Those are the 2 gyms that, in addition to the Inferno, that we have volleyball for. But again, this is the middle school gym floor. It's looking phenomenal. Got features a new Blue Devil head at the center court and our tipped-in Blue Devil word marks on either side with those crisp new lines for basketball and volleyball. Again, here's a reverse view of that middle school gym and baseline. I know our athletics department, again, was really itching to get into that space, and so it's available and been in use for the last couple weeks now. We've also got the auxiliary gym at the high school that was in desperate need of some attention. Again, they went through, worked on that. We not only refinished the court, which aligns with both the Inferno and the middle school gym that you just saw, but we also gave the walls a much needed paint job. It's a lot cleaner in there, a lot nicer. Take a step in there this fall and this winter, and you'll be amazed. These spaces, again, they host classes, community events, sporting competitions, and practices. They're an essential part of our school corporation and a resource for so many kids in our community. Again, we look forward to showcasing these spaces throughout the school year. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention this. I'm pretty sure I've seen every single school district in the state create some AI notice about cell phone policies. I thought, why not try my hand at it as well? So again, quick reminder about our updated wireless communication device policy that was approved in the June meeting. This policy was adopted in response to legislation passed by the Indiana General Assembly this past spring, which requires all schools to restrict student access to wireless communication devices during the school day. So from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m., students may not have personal wireless communication devices with them. That includes cell phones, smartwatches, personal laptops and tablets, other wireless communication devices. Again, devices should be off, silenced, and stored in the student's locker or book bag during the school day. If you need to reach your child during the school day, we encourage you to contact it just like in the olden days. Contact the school office. We know where your kid's at. We'll get a hold of them. And again, any violations will be handled according to the student handbook for that particular school. So again, we appreciate everyone's communication and cooperation as we work to keep our students focused and engaged throughout the school day. And finally, as you're aware, school board voted to approve a resolution to place an operating referendum on the November 3rd ballot. As a follow-up to that meeting, the proposed language was approved by the Department of Local Government Finance. It'll be read by the County Election Board, meeting scheduled for July 29th. I believe that's next Wednesday. After that, the next voter action will be the election on November 3rd. In the meantime, we put together some basic information related to the referendum on our website. Again, strictly informational for the website to provide facts to the community. We'll continue to add these to these web pages as questions come in. So just a quick sneak preview of that. There's Dr. Liz. Hey, man. We have 3 ways that you can find it on the landing page of our district. At the top right, you have Referendum 2026. You've also got access to it down here on the right-hand side, Referendum 2026. Or you can find it at our district under Referendum 2026. Once you get onto that page, the landing page here, again, just gives you some overall information about what the purpose of the referendum is, some quick facts about it, when the election is, what type of referendum it is, what the maximum rate would be, the length of it, maximum levy that we can pull from that, and what the average impact is, what the maximum impact is for the average home in Tipton Community School District. Again, a few more interesting things. Again, frequently asked questions: what would this fund? What would it cost? Why is this needed? You can find all that information here as well. Like I said, a few additional things about what is an operating referendum, why is it, why are we considering it now, and then a few resources at the bottom. This includes a link to our most recent school board meeting where the board listened to the presentation about what the referendum was and voting on the language. We have some presentations. This is the actual presentation from that board meeting, as well as a handful of the videos I made earlier this year, kind of explaining some things about school finance for your consideration. And then we will also be adding a few documents here regarding different presentations, different handouts, flyers, things that are just informational about Tipton Community Schools, the referendum, what it would do if we get it, what would happen if we don't get it. Again, that's available. We will continue to update that. There is a page for frequently asked questions. There is also an opportunity if you have questions that are not on the FAQ page. What you can do is you can do all of us a favor, including your community, and you can submit a question. It'll take you to an email that will be sent directly to my email. And I will make sure to address that as quickly as possible, make sure we get you the correct information, because again, we want our community to have an informed vote this November. So, questions, concerns from the board?
I had a question today. You mentioned farm grounds and homes, how they'll be assessed or impacted. What businesses?
Yes, that's also going to be on my list of things to do. So we're going to be working with Policy Analytics over the next few weeks, and we actually have a meeting scheduled, I think, later this week. What we're going to do is we're going to work with them to figure out, okay, we focus mostly on residential since that's the majority of our voting group, but obviously we want to make sure we can give that information regarding farm businesses as well. So we'll work with them, see what the impact will be, not just from the property taxes that we're traditionally familiar with, but also some of the future impacts over the next 8 years regarding personal property as well. Some of the rule changes regarding going from what was it, like $80,000 to $2 million that people can exempt from their personal property. So again, we'll get more information out of that. Like I said, we want to make sure we got this out there. We know there was a demand for it, and obviously there's a lot of questions out there. We want to make sure we address some of those early ones as soon as possible.
And when will you be updating the video on the homepage?
It's on the to-do list. Yes. Yeah. I get a warm feeling every time I see Dr. Glaze welcome me to the district. So it's hard to turn that away. So, but yeah, I'll make sure to include it every time. Okay. Last thing for me, just a preview of our next meeting. We have a 26-27 certified appraisal plan that'll be coming across. We're doing a first reading of the updated food service meal debt policies tonight. We'll have the second reading next month. The Boys and Girls Club will have their MOUs signed and ready for us to review and sign next month as well. Our extracurricular accounts schedule balances, and then we'll have some beginning of the school year highlights. Run out if you get a few pictures of what happened our first few days of school. That is it.
Very good. All right. Next item on the agenda is the department reports that were in your packet. They include the technology report, the food service report, and the additional superintendent report. Any questions or comments on any of that? Okay. Financial report, we will go over to Brooke Cleaver.
Thank you. For June, in the education fund, we ended with $957,440.84. Operations, $1,445,205.03. Debt service, $923,917.98. And the rainy day fund, $2,035,833.41. In June, we did receive the rest of our spring property tax settlement and license excise revenues, totaling $1,312,565, and the operations split was roughly $649,000, debt service $663,000. We made our debt service payments totaling just over $1.8 million at the end of June. Interest income for the month was $28,053.43.
Good, thank you, Brooke. Were there any questions in the financial packet from the board? All right. Moving on to new business, we have the approval of the 2027 budget timeline. And this is an annual thing we do. So from a public's perspective, this has nothing to do with the referendum. This is something we have to do every year. So, but the board is being asked to approve the 2027 budget calendar as required annually by the Department of Local Government Finance. The calendar outlines the required timelines for the 2027 budget process, which includes a public hearing on September 22nd and a final budget approval on October 13th of 2026. The approval of this calendar allows the district to move forward with the required budget development, public notice, hearings, and adoption process. Need a motion and a second to approve the 2027 budget timeline.
I move to approve the 2027 budget timeline.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second to
You can have it,
approve the 2027 budget timeline. Any additional comments or questions from the board? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the 2027 budget timeline, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The budget timeline is approved. Next on the agenda is our 2026 and 2027 handbooks. Included in your packet are the proposed handbooks for approval. These handbooks have been reviewed and updated to reflect applicable legislative changes from the Indiana General Assembly, as well as other necessary revisions for the upcoming school year. Each handbook also includes an accompanying memo outlining the specific changes from the 2025-26 school year, which were shared with the board earlier this month for review. At this time, the recommendation is to approve the 2026-27 handbooks as presented. I would need a motion and a second to do so.
I move to approve the 2026-2027 handbooks as presented.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second to approve the 2026-27 handbooks. Any further comment or questions from board members?
I have some questions.
Yes.
On the high ability, I may know the answer to this, but I forget. Scott, you were the high ability coordinator. Who is that now?
That would be Dr. Glaze.
Mr. Glaze. Okay. And I know we used to have a high ability committee that would meet so often. Do we still have that?
Yep.
And how often are we meeting?
They generally meet quarterly, legally required. We're required by Indiana Code to meet once a semester.
Okay. And so they go over if the goals are being met. Okay.
Yep.
Okay, and then transportation. On the route and substitute pay schedule, it says the daily pay up to 3 hours is $137.02. But then on the next page, it said for years of experience, 0 to 4, the approximate daily rate is 96.
I need to double check that.
So I was just confused because it's on the first page here, and then also to that, it says the following hourly rates apply to new drivers hired on or before January 1st of 2026, and to future route assignments or other assignments placed on the hourly compensation structure. So if a driver switches routes, would they be changed in pay scale?
No, that should not be the case. If they are driving with us, they will stay there. If we bring in a new driver, a new hire after January 1st from this year, then they will be on the new pay scale. Yes.
Okay. Okay.
But let me look into.
And then sick days. I think full-time drivers get 6 days accumulated per year that transfer over. What about drivers who currently have, like, say, 10 or 15 days right now?
I am not sure that they have those carried over. I don't know if they have 15 days. At least that's not what our team discussed. Brooke, I don't know if you remember that conversation at all. I believe Class 5 were only able to carry over up to 6. I believe that's listed in our classified handbook, and that should mirror the same as what's in our transportation from that perspective. But I can I can pull that one, take a look at it if you
Okay.
guys
I
want.
just wonder if an employee currently had over that 6 right now, if they would,
Pretty sure
lose
we
those,
don't.
or-
I think it's they're capped at 6, and then, yeah,
Yes, that's what.
I think it said they're gonna be capped at 6 days now. Not highlighted.
they were before.
That's what it. Cap of 6 personal days.
Okay, it's just 6, it's just personal days, 6 personal days.
Correct.
Okay.
But the rest of the days, if they have more, with just sick days.
Okay, okay. And then one question about morning drop off. It says no earlier than 7:40. And I know last year we talked about buses
Yeah.
wouldn't be on the premises until 7:40. So
Yeah.
how are we gonna stop buses? I mean, I don't want my child staying there for 10 minutes.
Right, no.
Every day.
The idea, and we talked with our transportation about that, is they need to be scheduled so that the buses are arriving about 7:40. If they're arriving earlier, then we need to adjust the route. Either the bus driver's leaving a little bit earlier, or we need to add different stops to that route to balance them out a little bit differently. We've had that conversation, and I believe Board Crawford's working on that.
Okay. So I think the only thing is just the discrepancy maybe in, at least how I read it, was different on the pay rate.
The way I'm looking at.
Page 24 and 25.
Yeah, I was looking at that as if we had someone that's currently on the 13702 and they retire and we bring in a new driver, maybe that's the rate you were putting in there, Scott, for the new driver, 96 a day.
Yes, that's for the new driver. So we'll basically have 2 systems going while we have a
A
grandfather system
group.
and then a new driver system.
Maybe we should put something on page 24 that this is correct. I guess prior to 2026, it's just,
Yeah, that's fair.
it confused me a little bit when
Yeah.
I saw the 2 different pay rates, so those are the only questions I had.
Oh,
Andrea, can we go ahead and approve it contingent on getting that language into it?
That's
Or do
fine.
you want to wait?
That's fine,
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
I had talked to Scott also about consistency in layout, and I asked him specifically to not do it himself. And he expressed that, his name, our name was going to be on that, which I truly understand. But I would like to see the index be the same for every school. And then, if the dress code is F, it's F in every school, okay? And if it's absences, and that's section C, it's across the board. So, and then I also was not sure I understood why there were some differences between the different elementary, middle school, and high school, but I'm not gonna go there, so.
And Scott, could you just double check on the personal days, just to make sure? And if it is different, what happens to those days if they would happen to have more?
Should give you guys clarification on that.
Any other questions or comments from the board? All right, hearing none, I would take a motion in a second. Again, let's revise that to a motion in a second to approve the handbooks pending the update to the transportation handbook related to personal days, and then the language in there separating the new and old driver language. You don't have to repeat all that. Somebody just made a motion.
I move to approve the 2026, 2027 handbooks, pending the discussion.
There you go.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Any additional questions? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the handbooks as stated, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries with contingency. The next item on our agenda is the KSEC Joint Services Agreement. The board's being asked to approve the annual joint services agreement with the Kokomo Area Special Education Cooperative, hereinafter referred to as KSEC. This agreement formalizes our continued participation in the cooperative, along with the other participating school districts, for the purpose of providing special education programs, services, staffing, and supports to eligible students. Each member district is required to approve the agreement on an annual basis. Approval of this agreement allows TCSC to continue receiving special education services through KSIC while maintaining our responsibilities as a member district. Be looking for a motion to approve the KSIC Joint Services Agreement in our packet.
I move to approve the KSIC Joint Services Agreement.
Second.
A motion and a second to approve the KSIC Joint Services Agreement. Questions or additional comments from any board members? All right, hearing none. All those in favor of approving the KSIC Joint Services Agreement, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? The agreement passes. Next item on the agenda is the Franciscan Health Sports Medicine Memo of Understanding. This agreement continues our athletic training and sports medicine support for Tipton High School and our student athletes. Under the agreement, Franciscan Health will provide an athletic trainer, coverage for the high school athletics, support for home IHSAA athletic events as determined by the school and Franciscan Health, coverage for away football games, and physician support for varsity football games. This agreement also includes consultation, injury prevention, treatment support, and other sports medicine-related services. The agreement is for a 3-year term beginning July 1st, 2026, and ending June 30th, 2029. The cost is $18,000 in year 1, $21,000 in year 2, and $25,000 in year 3. At this time, the board will consider approval of the agreement with the Franciscan Health for orthopedic and sports medicine services.
I move to approve the Franciscan Health Sports Medicine MOU.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the MOU with Franciscan Health. Any additional questions from the board or comments?
Yes. I talked to to Ryan and to Scott this afternoon. I had to clarify that this agreement was with Franciscan Health and not with Forte. So that was one of my concerns. Also then on 2.1.4, I asked that the school agrees to provide a liaison whom Franciscan Health personnel can contact as appropriate. And I asked that Scott identify who that person is specifically, or that person's title, not necessarily a name. Also on 2.2, the development and emergency action plan. In that, I requested that when that plan is worked on, that was developed when the planned evacuation occurred, that they involve Franciscan Health as well as IU Health in that. Also, on page 6, it has Dr. Ryan Glaze, and so I asked they update that to Scott. Also, page 8 is a blank page. It needs to either be removed or it needs the watermark on there that says this page was left intentionally blank. I was married to an attorney, okay?
When we talked earlier, we both agreed. We're very grateful for that. I mean, those things they can trip you up. So I've made note of those, and I will make sure we get those addressed. We can handle this similar to the way we did transportation as well. Very minor fixes, but important fixes.
Yes, and then there, I asked for some clarification on Exhibit A, and that was, my questions were answered to my satisfaction by both of them today, so thank you.
Would you support a secondary motion to go ahead and approve this
Yes, I
contingent
will.
on this? Okay.
Yes,
So I need another motion and a second to approve the Franciscan Health Sports Medicine MOU contingent on the updates provided by member Tammy Brown for the MOU.
I move to approve the Franciscan Health Sports Medicine MOU contingent on this discussion.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second to approve the MOU with Franciscan
I just have
Health.
one quick question.
Oh, okay.
this won't affect anything.
Okay.
Just, it says that, they'll provide athletic trainer at events. It basically says determined by the school and Franciscan Health. My question just is, has there ever been any disagreement over what they should and shouldn't be at? They've never had any pushback on, we want you to be at. Okay. We've never had. Okay, good. I mean, because I could see them like, well, that doesn't qualify. Okay,
That's a good point.
good.
All right. I do have a motion and a second. All those in favor of approving the Franciscan Health Sports Medicine MOU, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries with contingency. The approval next on the agenda is the approval of our communications and supplemental resource fees for 26-27. Earlier today, Dr. Jaworski Mr. Jaworski kind of talked us through, but HEA 1002 were approved in 2023 clarified that school corporations may assess reasonable fees for supplies and materials that are not curricular materials, but that supplement instruction. Based on the estimated cost included in the board materials, the administration recommends a fee of $40 for students in K through 2 and $45 for students in grades 3 through 12. I would entertain a motion to approve the 2026-27 supplemental supplies and material fees as presented.
I move to approve the communications and supplemental resource fee for the 2026-2027 school year.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the supplemental resource fees. Any questions or additional comments from board members?
I had a question about, is there any sort of like financial assistance available for that fee, or is that just?
I believe if they qualify for free and reduce, then that's part
accordingly.
of that, yeah.
Does that dollar amount have to be approved by anybody?
Is what?
Does that have to be approved by the state? You know, but it's kind of a,
The fee?
yeah.
No, they allow, they put out language, this past year, last year actually, about that, and they said, because there was a lot of gray area with,
Right,
there was
when
that
it first-
restriction of
uh-huh.
curriculum materials, they wanted to clarify that things like this, these communication systems, don't fall under curriculum materials. So their fallback was, well, just consult your legal counsel about it, instead of giving us actual guidance on it.
Because I know,
So-
I remember when they changed the book
Yeah.
fees and all that, there was a lot of gray area. So,
Yes, and
okay.
so this is what we feel comfortable assessing. We
Great.
could assess more, but it's not something
Okay.
we feel at this point.
Further comment? All right, have a motion and a second for the approval of the communications supplemental resource fees for 2026 and 27. All those in favor of approving, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Fees are approved. Next item on our agenda is the first reading of the wellness and the meal debt policy. Following our food service audit this spring, we are required to update policies A275, F175, and F176. Policy A275 establishes the corporation's commitment to student wellness through nutrition education, healthy food standards, physical activity, public participation, and regular review of wellness practices. Policy F175 establishes procedures for collecting debt owed to the school corporation and documenting collection efforts, authorizing limited debt forgiveness or write-offs under the defined circumstances, and properly handling remaining positive account balances. Policy F176 establishes procedures for managing unpaid student meal balances, including family notifications, charging limits, alternate meals, collection efforts, appeals, and the handling of inactive accounts. There's no action on this for this evening. It's a first reading. Is that correct?
Yes.
Mr. Jaworski?
Yep.
And I do believe that maybe if I could have delegate maybe something to Dr. Glaze is to talk about how to possibly get our the building counselors involved in this process. Just some kind of SOP that says we get to hear this happens and then some, kind of follow up with that. If there's any other questions or comments on those policies, we just need to read them again and be ready to vote on them next month. The next item on the agenda is professional services agreement with Dr. Melody Marley. Under this agreement, Dr. Marley will review and sign the Medicaid orders generated by Tipton Community School Corporation throughout the entire 2026-27 school year. The total compensation for these services will be a flat fee of $500. The administration recommends approval of the agreement as presented. Looking for a motion to approve the contract agreement for professional services between the school corporation and Dr. Melody Marley.
I move to approve the professional services agreement with Dr. Melody Marley.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the professional services agreement. Any questions or additional comments, Beth?
I have a question. How did we come to choose Dr. Melody Marley?
Who is she?
Yeah, and who is she?
I just Googled her.
Dr. Marley assists other schools in our area, and so Taylor School Corporation, actually, Scott and I went and met with the treasurer and the one of the other staff members at Taylor. They walked us through the whole process, and they said they were using her, and she agreed to do it for a flat fee of $500. So basically, our speech therapists review the files, we get parent consent, they send me the referrals, and then I drive them to Dr. Marley's office or send them through DocuSign.
Okay.
Do we have a copy of this person's credentials?
So you're looking for credentials for her as somebody qualified to do this work?
She has an NPI number assigned and is eligible to sign off on the Medicare. So beyond that, I'm not sure.
Do we know where she went to medical school? Just curious.
So right here.
Where?
I'll send it.
Online? Okay.
Got our investigator down there, and they named a new committee for him.
It's a good thing it's not between 8 a.m. and 3, right?
Yeah, that's right. You would
have
be.
your phone
You'd
out
have to
there.
confiscate that
Yes.
from you as you walk in. Yeah.
So I have a motion and a second to approve the agreement between Dr. Melody Marley and the school corporation for a flat fee of $500. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. The next is the Claim Aid School-Based Medicaid Billing Services Agreement. Under this agreement, Claim Aid will provide administrative support for the preparation, submission, follow-up, and reconciliation of Medicaid claims for eligible school-based services. The school corporation will continue to retain responsibility for student eligibility, service documentation, program administration, and compliance with applicable state and federal requirements. Claim Aid will receive a fee equal to 8% of the federal portion of the Medicaid reimbursements collected through claims it submits. No fee will be charged for claims that are denied or determined to be non-collectible. This agreement is also intended to comply with the requirements of Indiana Senate Bill 200. The administration recommends approval of the agreement as presented. Looking for a motion to approve the school-based Medicaid billing services agreement between TCSC and Claim Aid Consulting Corporation.
I move to approve the Claim Aid School-Based Medicaid Billing Services Agreement.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve the school-based Medicaid billing services agreement with Claim Aid. Any questions or comments from board members? Signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Other matters to come before the board. I think we've got the advisory committees. Eric, I hope you got your pen out, so you get yours for 2026-27.
There's only one.
The School Finance Committee, the next meeting is October 12th at 3:30 in the district office. That committee this year will be Eric Underwood, Tammy Brown, and myself, Rob Cochran. The Academics and Teacher Development Committee, the next meeting is September 3rd at 3:30 in the district office. That committee will be Beth Wolpert and Jennifer Hummerkaus. The Communications, Public Relations, and Culture Committee, next meeting is August 27th at 3:30 in the district office. Andrea Campbell and Kimberly Faig will be on that committee. The Wellness Committee, the torch has been passed to Tammy Brown, and your next meeting is September 30th at 3:30 in the district office. And the safety committee, it's yet to be scheduled, Kim, but you're on the safety committee. And then the only other new business I had on there is I think we want to pay attention to the request from the student body president this evening. I would like to make another recommendation, maybe that Dr. Glaze, you reach out to Mr. Leach and see what the high school's position is on this. And if we can somehow get this resolved through legal texting channels or whatever it is prior to the start of school for them. My recommendation would be that if we would charge a fee for that, that the students would return that to the food services to help with the balances. And that the parking lot be returned to the pristine condition that it is prior to them painting it. Yes.
I'd like to also throw in there that they sign a contract that they're never gonna ride the school bus. That they're gonna drive every single day, so you don't have
I
to
don't know
count
that I
them
can
on
do
the
that.
school bus.
Well, if her car breaks down, I mean, you can't do that.
Just,
I
I can ask whatever I wanna
I can
ask.
ask.
I would,
My question would be, I'm
Yes,
not saying you're wrong, I'm just thinking out loud. What if they don't return their parking spot
Well,
to the procedure? I mean, there needs to
yeah,
be
I think we
carrot
can-
and a stick,
I would
right?
like Dr. Glaze to maybe work with Mr. Leach and say, we've got to have it returned a week before graduation. You know, there's got to be some stipulation in there, and then there needs to be some kind of, even if it's a napkin sketch of what the intention is, you know, it can't be some like giant
we will hold
finger
your
or
diploma.
something, you know, it's gotta be, it's
Yeah,
gotta be something
it needs to be
appropriate,
that.
You
but,
can't participate in graduation if you
Yeah.
paint over the lines
Yeah.
or don't,
so.
whatever, I
yeah.
mean,
Well, maybe
But-
they can't start until it's paid.
Something, yeah. So I would just like to maybe, I've never been to a school where we didn't have that. And I think once we redid the parking lots, there was, but now there's enough mileage on the parking
There you
lots
go.
that maybe we can kind of let that happen and return that tradition to the students. So, and I will hear about this when I get home because my senior just graduated, but I'll take one for the team. So anyway, that was the only other new business. Schedule of events, July 23rd, the school's office back open. July 23rd, again, we have the back to school night across the street at the fairgrounds. July 27th, we will have new teacher orientation. July 28th, we have walk-in registration from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. The 29th and 30th, the staff summer academy. And if you didn't get a chance to read this in your packet, we had great support from the community this year, donating a tremendous amount of money to make sure that the costs were covered for that for our teachers. And it doesn't end up on our donation report, but it was in that superintendent report. And I was just blown away by the generosity of the community on that. So that is the summer, staff summer academy. August 3rd will be TMS Rocks for the 6th grade. August 4th will be the teacher workday. August 4th will also be the Blue Devil kickoff for freshmen. And that evening from 4 to 7, also on August 4th, is the Blue Devil Bash and the open house. I believe that's the date we will be most likely doing the ribbon cutting on
Correct.
the playground. August 5th is a staff professional development day. And August 6th, it's first day back in the building for the students. We'll meet again here as a board on August 11th for our next school board meeting.
And I just want to reiterate for the board, I know I'll be in attendance. I believe, Rob, you said you'd be in attendance. The July 29th election board meeting at 3 o'clock in the Tipton County Courthouse.
And then the only other new business I had was that there are some MOUs that are coming through in the next round. We're making a very deliberate effort to get some of these things in writing so that we understand roles and responsibilities between ourselves and the people that leverage the assets of the facility. So we're trying to tighten up a little bit of that. And so you're going to see a lot more of these MOUs coming through, but that's very deliberate to make sure that we kind of have those things in writing and there's no question. So, all right. With that, I take a motion and a second to adjourn.
I move to adjourn the July meeting.
Second?
Motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed to that? All right, we are adjourned.